Hello friends! This is going to be my Tour de Fleece week 3 vlog. I've already shared weeks 1 and 2 up on my YouTube channel, so if you want to check those out, go ahead. But I wanted to talk a little bit about what Tour de Fleece actually is. It might not be something you're aware of. Probably if you clicked on this video, you're aware of it since it's in the title. But if not, Tour de Fleece is a spinning event that runs for about 3 weeks, usually at the end of June and into July or all during July. And it's called the Tour de Fleece because there is a cycling event in Europe called the Tour de France, which is at the same time as Tour de Fleece, and Tour de Fleece is based on Tour de France. So that's a cycling event that goes for about 3 weeks, and Tour de Fleece happens at the same time because while they are pedaling, we are treadling. That's what Tour de Fleece is. This is going to be a Tour de Fleece vlog, so I'm going to take you through all the stuff that I'm going to be working on for the next week. It's going to be a little more than a week because today is Saturday and the tour ends the following, like a week from tomorrow on Sunday. So it's going to be a little bit longer than a week, but I'm going to take you through all of the spinning and plying that I'm going to be working on in the next week, show you all my projects and all my finished yarn. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, stick around and enjoy all the following clips of my Tour de Fleece spinning. So far this Tour de Fleece, I have been working on a couple different projects, which I'm just going to give you an update on. So first of all, I have been working through this black Corriedale Cross Roving. There's quite a bit of it. I have 3 more bumps that are even bigger than this because previously this was like this big around and now it's only this big around. So I have most of a bobbin spun of this Corriedale Cross Roving, which I am then going to ply with some White Corriedale Roving, and then eventually get that dyed by my friend Lauren over at Valkyrie Fibers. We had previously made a plan for her to dye some hand spun for me so that I can spin the white and then get beautiful hand dyed yarn out of it. And I decided after I finished spinning the white that I wanted a ply of black in there because I thought that would just look so cool. So I've been working on spinning this. I have a bobbin almost filled at this point. Insert photo here. So that's great. Once that bobbin is done being spun, I'm going to start plying it with the white because I am running out of bobbins because I have 5 bobbins occupied with the White Corriedale Roving. So that's my first Tour de Fleece project. In addition to the black Corriedale Roving and the White Corriedale Roving, which I also spun a bobbin of the white during this tour, insert additional photo. I have also been doing some dyed combed top, spinning some dyed combed top. So the first of which is called Wibbly-Wobbly, dyed by Classy Squid Fiber Company on their Classy Sock base, which is a combination of Corriedale, Polwarth, Faux Cashmere, and bamboo. So I spun some of that during the tour, some of it was already previously spun, and then I plied it last week. So that is great. I made some good progress with that, and now it is finished yarn. I plied it really interestingly. I'll put up some more pictures too, but I did a 3-ply 2 ways. So there's like the chain plied bobbin where you spin 1 single and do a kind of like a crochet chain to make it into a 3-ply. That's a really cool technique. If you're unfamiliar, you should check out some videos about that. But so I plied half of it like that, and then I did the other half as a traditional 3-ply. Again, I'll put up some pictures so that you can see what that looks like. And so that yarn is all done. I just need to skein it and get it counted and wash it and then knit it into some striped socks. And then in addition to that, I have this combed top by Hello Yarn, which I have been spinning, and it is these beautiful reds and oranges and neutrals on, again, combed top. This is South American wool top, so the label says South American blend wool top, so I think that it might be a couple different breeds, but I'm not positive about that. Don't quote me on that. But I've really been enjoying this. Again, I'll put up some pictures of what I've done so far. I was just getting really tired of just spinning the black Corriedale Cross Roving, so I wanted to put some variety into my spinning, so I grabbed these braids from my stash. I have 2 of them, so about 8 ounces, and I'm going to spin these, do probably a 2-ply, and just have some lovely hand spun from the Tour de Fleece that is not my previously mentioned projects. So yeah, I've been working hard, doing lots of spinning and plying on these aforementioned projects. And that's kind of where we're at so far this tour. This week, or this weekend today, because like I said, this is Saturday through the following Sunday, so it's going to be 8 or 9 days of spinning. But we're going to hopefully do some plying on the black and white Corriedale Roving, and then maybe finish this. We'll see, because like I said, I have 8 ounces and I'm not sure how much I'm going to get done. But we'll at least make some progress, we'll at least have some fun, and yeah, let's get right into some of the progress that I'm going to be making this week. All right, so this is where we are starting with the black Corriedale Cross Roving today. As you can see, I have the bobbin pretty much filled. I've got 1, maybe 2 more layers to put on here before the bobbin is all the way filled, and then I can get to plying with some of the white Corriedale that I spun up earlier this month and also in the last like 6 months. So yeah, let's get to spinning. All right, so this bobbin is filling up wonderfully. I'm about halfway through the last layer. Yeah, I'm not going to try to fit another layer on top of this, so I'm just going to finish this layer and then it'll be time to get to plying. So I'm pretty excited about that. I think this is looking really nice, but my wrist is starting to be a little bit tired, so it's time for a break, maybe to be done for the day, but we'll see about that. I might jump back into spinning later this evening, depending on my energy and stuff like that. So, but yeah, it's looking really nice. I'm loving this black. Well, more or less, as we've discussed. It's not my absolute favorite, but it's going well. So we will carry on once I give my wrist a little bit of a rest. All right, friends, it is a new day. It is Tour de Fleece day 15, which is going to be a challenge day. So my goal is to finish spinning all of this black Corriedale fiber, well, fill the bobbin, and get to plying, hopefully. We'll see. Hang on, I'll show you how the bobbin's looking, because I did a little bit more last night before bed, but didn't show you, so I'll show you now. All right, so here is my bobbin. As you can see, I am almost done. I have to fill this little bit of space here, and then the bobbin will be filled. So I think I did like from here across last night, right before bed. You'll have seen recently how much I got done, so hopefully that makes sense. But I think I'll be able to finish this today and then get to plying. Alrighty, the bobbin is done, because I can't stop spinning, but I'm waiting for that there skein hanging on the dog crate door to dry to make sure I like how it works up. I have decided to spin some of this Ground Dweller dyed by Hello Yarn. So let's get right into that now. All right, so I managed a couple layers on this bobbin of the Ground Dweller by Hello Yarn. We had some company over, so I was doing lots of spinning on this. So that's awesome. Next up, I'm gonna get ready to ply these 3 bobbins of Corriedale, and then this one is a Corriedale Cross that I spun. These 2 bobbins I spun during Tour de Fleece. This one was previously spun, but I don't care. My goal for Tour de Fleece is to finish this spin, which I may or may not do. I wasn't originally planning on adding the black ply. I was originally just gonna do 2 white plies or maybe 3 white plies together, but decided I wanted the barber pole effect of the black. So yeah, I'm gonna get into plying this and see how far I can get tonight. All right, so I have been sitting here plying for half an hour to an hour. It's getting kind of late. Well, for me, it's 7:30, but I usually like to be wrapping up and getting ready for bed by 8 or 9. That said, the plying is coming along great. These don't look like I've made very much of a dent, but that's because it's a 3-ply. So I'll show you what I've gotten done. Look! That's like half the bobbin. Such pretty barber poling. So I don't think I've said in this video, so I guess I'll update you. My plan for this yarn is not to leave it black and white. I think it looks awesome, but I have to make this go faster. Yeah, there we go. But my plan is to have my friend Lauren over at Valkyrie Fibers dye up this yarn for me. Originally it was just going to be 2 to 3 plies of the White Corriedale, and then very last minute, I think I had finished spinning the White Corriedale earlier this Tour de Fleece, and I had a bit of a realization that a black ply would look crazy cool in with the two white plies. So I messaged her and was like, what do you think? Is this a good idea, or is it gonna turn out crazy and bad? And she was a big fan of the idea. She was like, oh my god, the black ply will add such cool depth, and yeah, it'll be super cool. So I decided that I wanted to do a ply of the black in with 2 plies of the white. So I've spun up a sample skein, which is currently drying, but I'll put a picture of it right here. And it looks really good. I washed it to make sure I liked what weight it was going to be. It looks like it's going to be Sport to DK weight, but I'll get an actual wraps per inch measurement on that before, well, not before I ply, because I'm already plying, but before I do anything with the yarn. I'll figure out what weight it is and then go from there. But yeah, I'm really excited about this yarn. I'm really excited to see how Lauren dyes it. I definitely want like jewel tones because that's my favorite, but I haven't put more thought into what color it might be, so we'll see if I have her use her artistic prerogative and just do something crazy, or if I ask her to do a specific color. But I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to look really good when it's all done. I'm definitely going to have to spin more black because I have 4.5 total bobbins of the white, and I've only spun 1 bobbin of the black so far. And I expect I will need 2, maybe a little bit more than 2, depending on how the first, like using up the first set of bobbins goes. I'm just going to keep cruising away on plying this and then go from there. Like I said, I expect I'm going to have to spin up another bobbin of the black, which is what I'm looking at. I'm just looking at my bobbins twirling because it's lovely and meditative and, I don't know, hypnotic. Maybe I shouldn't look. But anyway, that is my plan for this yarn. All of the singles were spun long draw, which worked out really well. The roving I was using spun long draw really well. It was nice and airy, and just good roving for spinning long draw, you know. I find that combed top doesn't spin as nice long draw unless you do some prep to it, but roving, which the fibers are more airy and the fibers aren't as organized, you know, combed top, they're all pointing in the same direction. Roving, they're a little more crisscrossed, a little more crazy and hectic. So that makes for very successful long draw spinning because you need the fibers to grab onto each other and you need them to be fairly airy so that you can draft successfully. Combed top does not have, in my opinion, the qualities that make for a nice long draw spinning experience. But the roving that I had, which was all milled for me by Alchemy Fiber Mill here in Western Mass, was really, really good for long draw. I have one more fleece that they processed for me after this black Corriedale Cross that I've been working with, which is a blue-faced Leicester fleece. So we'll see if that also spins long draw wonderfully, but I'm partial to the prep that they do with their fiber. I find that it's really, really, really nice for long draw. So we'll see if I get more stuff milled by them, because obviously it is an upfront expense that prepping stuff yourself does not involve. Obviously there's a lot of labor involved in prepping your own stuff, but it's free, more or less. So we'll see what my plan is moving forward with that, if I want to get more fleeces milled by them, or if I decide to do more personally prepared fibers, because I don't have a lot of spare change to spend on fibery goodness. I've already mentioned in my Q2 Rapunzel Rambles video, which I will link, I already mentioned in that video that I am on a yarn ban, at least for the rest of the year, because I have too much, and that goes for fiber as well. The only exception are trades. So, like, I have plans to make up some K-pop Demon Hunters themed fiber that I'm going to trade with my friend Lauren, who I already mentioned, over at Valkyrie Fibers, because she's going to dye some self-striping sock yarn that is K-pop Demon Hunters themed. And I was like, ooh, I might need that. I've already watched the movie twice. I'm probably going to watch it a third time when I go to prep the fiber for it, so I can come up with some really cute names and inspiration for the bats or rolags that I'm planning on making based on that franchise, movie, whatever. So I have a planned trade with her that I'm looking forward to, but other than that, I am not acquiring new fiber. I have too much fiber, I have too much yarn. Some people might say that doesn't exist, but the room that is my craft room is full. I have lots of big bins with locking lids and like a gasket seal to prevent moth issues, because moths obviously love to eat wool, and especially raw fleece they're very attracted to. So I have a bunch of bins, and I have 3 shelving units, and then I have more bins that just sit on the floor stacked because I have so much fiber and yarn. It's mostly fiber because I have been accumulating fiber for 13 years. That's when I started spinning. And obviously fiber is more airy than yarn, it takes up more space. So like I have several fleeces plus lots of dyed braids, and then I also have materials for my Etsy shop where I make blended roll-ags and bats for sale. So I have a lot of fiber and a lot of yarn, but the fiber definitely takes up more space because, again, it's airier, and also it's part of my small business, and that means that I have to have some, but I definitely have more than I know what to do with. For example, the red and orange and neutral braid that I've been spinning for Tour de Fleece is from 2019. And I have much older fiber than that, going back to probably 2013, 2014. So yeah, my goal, at least for the rest of the year, if not longer, we'll see how that goes and how much stash I work through. But my goal is to not buy new things and just work through what I have. And if getting stuff milled makes me work through it, I might use Alchemy Fiber Mill's roving making services because, as I said, I do really like the fiber that they produce. I think they do a very good job, with maybe the exception of them not doing a great job of removing all of the lanolin from the black fleece that I have been spinning to go with the white. I feel like there is more lanolin in there than I like, but that's not the end of the world. I can work with that and it's going to wash out. It's not like it's dirty. It's just a little sticky, and I don't like the feel of my hands being sticky after I've spun fiber. I don't like that. So other than that, big fan. Big fan of their fiber prep and their business, and I don't want to come off like I don't appreciate what they do in terms of making products and in terms of building community, but I don't like lanolin in my fiber. It drives me a little bit crazy to have to touch sticky lanolin when I'm trying to spin. It's just a texture thing. So anyway, I'm probably not going to get anything else milled by them. So all I have left is this black Corriedale Cross Roving, which I have at least 3 pounds of still, even after I spun an 8-ounce bobbin. And then I have a couple pounds of blue-faced Leicester roving that they also made for me. But trying to stash down, trying to consume what I have instead of finding new sources. I do have some yarn on order, but that's gonna be the end of it for a while. Rant over. But before I go, I'm just gonna show you how much I spun while we were talking for 15 or so minutes. Definitely more than halfway done with this bobbin now. It looks so good. It looks so good. I'm really excited about this yarn, especially once my friend Lauren plies. Why do I keep saying plies it? I'm plying it. I'm plying it right now. Once my friend Lauren dyes it, I think it's going to be magical. And I'm really, really excited for that. So I'll keep you updated. I'll definitely post pictures on Instagram, if not make a whole freaking YouTube video about this yarn once it's dyed. But I'm going to carry on. Probably ply this whole bobbin tonight. It's 7:50 now, so I've got a little more time before I have to start getting ready for bed. I think I can finish this bobbin, so I'll check in one more time before I wrap up for the day. But yeah, I'm really happy. I'm excited about this yarn. I'm excited about the plans for it. And yeah, that's it for now. All right, y'all. I made pretty good progress on these bobbins. They are emptier than they were. How empty, you might ask? Well, I finished the bobbin. I wanted to show it to you on the e-spinner because you can see that there is really no more room for yarn on there because the flyer gets in the way. But yeah, look at that. Look at that lovely, lovely yarn. Nice big bobbin, chock full of this gorgeous 3-ply of White Corriedale and Black Corriedale Cross. I'm really happy. I did this in, I don't know, 2 hours at the most. It's about 8:30 now, so, you know, sleepy girl has to get ready for bed. But I did that. Plus I finished spinning the last bobbin, or the current bobbin of the Black Corriedale Cross. Plus I spun like at least an ounce of the dyed fiber that I've been working on. Oh, yeah. I'm definitely feeling sleepy, and my wrist is not thrilled with me. I think plying is a little bit easier going than the spinning was, so I'll probably try to finish plying what I have tomorrow, and then maybe the next day I'll get back to spinning, and hopefully my wrist is happy with that, because obviously I don't want to injure myself, but I also want to finish. I want to make more progress and be done with this so that I can send it to my friend Lauren and get it dyed and move on with my life. But yeah, I'm really happy with this. I'm pretty excited with how much I got plied and spun today. But that's all for now. I have to get ready for bed, and I'll see you in the morning. Good morning, everybody. It is Monday, I don't know what day of the month it is, but it's the second rest day of Tour de Fleece. I'm probably going to take it pretty easy today, partially because my wrists have definitely been not thrilled with me, particularly this wrist. I've been doing long draw with it and also plying with it, and I feel like it's starting to feel the strain of spinning a lot for the last 2+ weeks. So I'm going to take it pretty easy because of that, and I also am probably not going to do any treadle wheel spinning because on my dog walk this morning I tripped and cut up my knee pretty badly, so it's a little tender, and I feel like treadling is going to make it more unhappy, which I do not want to do. So I'm just going to work with my e-spinner. I'm going to see if I can fill another bobbin of plied yarn today. I don't have the bobbin that I finished last night down here anymore, but this is what we have left. I think it's very interesting that the bobbins are all very unevenly filled at this point, having taken a third off of each one approximately. I expect I will get about 3 full skeins from these previously full 3 skeins or bobbins. So I'm probably going to apply another bobbin and then skein. My dog's being silly over there on the couch. Sorry if you can hear his collar. So I'm hoping to fill another bobbin today. Once I do that, I'm going to skein up the 2 bobbins because I will then be out of empty bobbins and either apply a third one or spin some more black, depending on how much black Corriedale Cross I have left, because as I've said previously, I have a total of 4.5, well, not really a total anymore since I've taken a third off of each of these, but I had 4.5 bobbins of the white, so I will just carry on with that as I run out, but obviously this is all the black that I have spun, so I will have to spin more either during the tour or after the tour, depending on how much I'm able to get done during the tour. I do want to get this all plied up pretty soon and the rest of the black spun up because I would like to send it off to my friend who's going to do an overdye job on it because I want to see what she does and I want to have the finished yarn and then knit something with it. So yeah, that's the plan for today. Ply another bobbin, maybe skein up the 2 full bobbins depending on my energy level and depending on how I'm feeling. I did some errands this morning, so it's already about 10 o'clock in the morning, but yeah, I think falling on my walk exhausted me a little bit because, you know, that was stressful, and then I had to like walk home and then clean it up and then do errands, so I'm pretty tired, and so I'm going to take it kind of easy today, which is fine because today's a rest day. So yeah, I'm going to try to ply 1 more bobbin, skein them up, and then see how I'm doing at that point. But yeah, that's my plan for the day. Actually, before I start plying the white and black Corriedale, I wanted to show you the skeins that I finished this weekend. I skeined them up, I think Saturday, and washed them yesterday on Sunday. So first of all, we have the sample skein of the white and black Corriedale. It worked up so great. I'm so freaking excited for this. It looks like it's probably a sport or DK weight, you know, in spots, because there's a little bit of variability with that, even though it's a 3-ply and therefore more consistent than a single or a 2-ply. So yeah, I'm really happy with that. It worked up just how I wanted it to, and I'm happy with it. It looks really good. The singles look like they have enough twist, and I think I plied it enough so it's a nice balanced yarn. Yeah, that looks pretty balanced. It's not twirling back on itself, so that's good. And yeah, I think it's going to look super cool once it's all overdyed. Again, I don't have a specific plan for the overdying yet, but I know whatever my friend Lauren does, it's going to be awesome. So I'm not too worried about that, but that's my first little plied bit of that fiber, which I, like I said, washed yesterday. And then in addition to that, I finished the 3-ply 2 ways yarns. So hopefully you can tell this one is the chain ply, and then this one is the true 3-ply. They ended up being a little bit closer in length than I expected, or at least I think they did. I haven't actually measured yet, so I haven't like counted my wraps and done the math to figure out how many yards I have, but they seem like they're the same amount. So despite looking like there was way more of the true 3-ply on the bobbin, I think they're pretty close, which is good. That'll work up well for striped socks, and I'm hopeful that these make nice socks. The fiber did bleed a lot in the wash that I did on them. I'll insert a photo here. Actually 2 photos, because even after the second rinse they were still pretty dark, or the water was still pretty dark, which like makes sense. It's very dark fiber. Again, the person who dyed this is no longer dyeing, so I don't feel like I'm saying bad things about a dyer, but I would definitely, in my own products, want not to have a ton of bleeding in the dye. It didn't like lose any color. It's still very vibrant and deep, but yeah, that was a little bit frustrating to be like, oh, I have to do extra rinses on this and make sure I don't wash it with anything else because the dye bled. So yeah, that happened, but I'm still really happy with this yarn. I think it's heckin' cute. I think it's gonna look really good striped as socks. I'll probably do like 4 or 6 rounds of each and then alternate. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. I think they're really, really pretty. They're nice and shiny thanks to all the bamboo in there. I think it's something like 10 to 20% bamboo. The exact ratios weren't super clear. I know that it was 66% wool, which was a combination of Corriedale and Polwarth, and then the rest a combination of faux cashmere and bamboo. So yeah, probably 10 to 20% bamboo, which means it's got lots of gorgeous shine to it, but I don't have the exact ratios because the dyer didn't provide that. So yeah. Anyway, finished yarn. I have a big bobbin of this that's ready to be skeined up. And then right now I'm going to get to doing some additional plying on this white and black Corriedale and Corriedale Cross, because the white was pure Corriedale and the black was a Corriedale Cross. The black's a little bit coarser than the white. Stay. But it works up really nice, and I'm not worried about it being too itchy or too, I don't know, too variable in itchiness. I feel like it's going to be fine. They're not that far off from each other. I just noticed while I was spinning the black that it was definitely a little bit coarser than the white was. So that's fine. The white was super soft. I'm actually hoping that the black adds a little bit of durability so that, you know, it holds up well as a finished product, but I'm really happy with it. I think it's really cool looking. I almost want to leave it like this, but I know I will get more enjoyment out of knitting and wearing it if it has some color. So yeah, that's what's up with this. That's what's up with the 3-ply 2 ways. I don't think I've mentioned yet in this video, so I will mention this was dyed by Classy Squid Fiber Company back many years ago while they were still dyeing, and the colorway is Wibbly-Wobbly. And I think that's all the information that I have for you. So I'm going to get to doing some more plying on this, and I'll talk to you in a little bit. Alright, so I have been sitting and plying for about 2 hours. I'm getting pretty close to being finished with this bobbin. I've got like 1.5 layers of plying left to do, but it is, I might have already said, noon, and I need to go make myself some lunch. So I'm going to do that. But yeah, plying is coming along really well. Once I'm done with this, I'm going to go skein up these bobbins and maybe do some other tasks. We'll see, you know. Life exists, so I'm going to have other stuff I have to do that's not just spinning and plying for Tour de Fleece, despite my wishes. So yeah, I'm gonna go, but I'm making good progress, so happy bobbin. Gotta plug it in. Don't forget to plug in the e-spinner. I'm back to it after lunch, just plying away on this white and black Corriedale and Corriedale Cross fiber that I spun earlier this year. Some of it was spun during the tour, but some of it is even older than that. It's just the nature of big spinning projects, particularly ones that aren't pretty colors. Pretty colors definitely help the spinning process be a little more speedy. So the white Corriedale fiber I have been spinning since 2024. but it was slow going for much of that. I really picked up at the beginning of Tour de Fleece, spun an 8-ounce bobbin in like 4 days, I think, and then spun the black bobbin in like a week. Might be even longer than that, but check out my Instagram if you're interested. I posted, or have been posting, every single day of Tour de Fleece with my progress. So there's that if you're interested in knowing exactly how long it took me to spin up some of these bobbins. But I feel like prior to the tour, or at least prior to like the week before Tour de Fleece, I wasn't spinning as much as I have been during Tour de Fleece, which makes sense. You know, it's a spinning event. The goal is to spin a bunch. I've been much more into knitting so far this year. I don't have a ton of finished objects. If you want to see my Q1 and Q2 progress for 2025, I will link them up in the cards and maybe also in the description below, just so that's available if you're interested. But yeah, I was doing a lot more knitting than spinning, especially in Q1. So yeah, I just haven't been doing as much spinning this year as I might have liked. But I think Tour de Fleece is definitely making up for that. You know, I spun 2 8-ounce bobbins and have been doing a bunch of plying, and also started spinning the Ground Dweller braid, which you've seen so far this video because I worked on it a bunch yesterday. And I'm hoping I can keep that up. I also need to do some knitting because I have like 2 test knits that I should be working on. And I have been, and one of them is almost done. I've been really excited about spinning and Tour de Fleece, and especially getting this project done so that I can get my friend Lauren to dye it for me. And I think that's been helping with my spinning enthusiasm. But yeah, I feel like I haven't done a ton of spinning this year, which might just be a matter of perspective. You know, it might be more realistic amounts of spinning compared to Tour de Fleece. So that's okay. I'm not like upset about it by any stretch of the imagination. I like spinning and I like making yarn, and I wish I had all the time to make all the things. And I do have lots of time to make things, don't get me wrong, but there's only so many hours in a day that you can be crafting. But I've definitely been doing a ton of spinning during Tour de Fleece, which I am very happy about. I haven't gone through and like measured how much I've done yet, partially because a lot of it is still on the bobbins waiting to be plied, or at least some of it. But also a lot of what I've been plying is not stuff that I actually spun during the tour, so I feel like it doesn't count. That might be me over-analyzing a little bit, but I'm in a Discord group for Mine Wolden. I think that's how it's pronounced. She has a YouTube channel that you may or may not be familiar with. I will try to link it in the description below so that you can check her work out, because she does fantastic spinning and knitting projects that she kind of carries you through the whole project with her, and I really like her videos. But I'm in a Discord group through her Patreon, which people have been posting about their Tour de Fleece spinning, and also they have a spreadsheet where they record everything that they've spun so that she can have a cumulative amount that everybody in her Discord has spun during Tour de Fleece. And I haven't put anything in the spreadsheet because nothing I've finished has been purely spun during Tour de Fleece. I don't feel like I've not been spinning enough or anything. I I don't want to skew the data, if that makes sense. I want it to be representative of the people that have actually done the whole project during Tour de Fleece. And I haven't, because like one of the plies I'm working with right now was spun before Tour de Fleece, and the finished skeins that I've shown you mostly were spun prior to Tour de Fleece. I just finished the yarn during Tour de Fleece, which again is great. It's an accomplishment. I'm proud of myself. I don't want to mess with the data and make it seem like I've been spinning more than I have, because in actuality I haven't spun everything that I've been plying for Tour de Fleece. We have finished another bobbin. So I now have 2 of these big, fat, chunky bobbins, which I need to skein up. And then I think I have, put this down somewhere. And then I think I have enough to do one more skein before I run out of this black. And then I will spin another bobbin of the black. Can you tell I'm not looking forward to that? But I am looking forward to the finished yarn, so I will do it. I just getting sick of the black. But that's why I have my dyed braid spin on my treadle wheel that I can work on, although we'll have to see, because like I said earlier, I fell on my dog walk this morning and scuffed up my knee pretty bad, so we'll see if I enjoy treadling or if I just have to e-spin for the next couple days. Fingers crossed I can treadle, but we will have to wait and see. So I'm going to take this big honkin' bobbin, bring it upstairs with my other big honkin' bobbin, and skein them up. So let's get to it. All right, so I skeined up both these big bed bobbins, or skeins. They were on bobbins, now they are skeins. One of them is 6.7 ounces and the other one is 7.3 ounces, so right around 7 ounces, which is pretty big. Like I said, my bobbins can fit 8 ounces, but I think between it being plied and between it being spun woolen, they are about as much as you can fit on one of those 8-ounce bobbins of woolen plied yarn. So they're so big. I'm so happy. So yeah, I'm gonna carry on. Probably take a little break now because I feel a little bit spun out, but I'm very pleased with what I have gotten done in the last couple days, or I guess 2 weeks, it depends, but they're done. They're huge. I'm very proud, and we'll see what I work on next. All right, friends. So I have not done any more spinning today. I did a little bit of knitting on one of my test knits, but I accomplished this whole skein today. I plied the whole thing and then I skeined up both of these skeins. So if that's not a productive rest day, I don't know what is. And I will take that as an accomplishment and go to bed at a reasonable time because I'm tired, and not stay up late plying because I want to accomplish more or something like that. So that's it for today, and I will see you in the morning. Good morning. It is day 16 of Tour de Fleece. We are done with that rest day, and I am still kind of tired. It's early. Well, not that early. I already took the dog for a walk and had some breakfast. But I am working through some tea in my cute Tooth and Claw Animal Attack podcast bottle. Yesterday we plied another skein of the black and white Corriedale and Corriedale Cross fiber, which I'm very pleased with. And I'm gonna try to do one more today until I am out or almost out of the black Corriedale Cross fiber, and then probably switch back to spinning. I might be able to finish this spinning plying project during Tour de Fleece. I'm not saying I will, because I don't have 100% confidence that I can, but if I could, that would be really cool to make many, many skeins of this and then wash them and then send them off to my friend Lauren. Would be magical. So hopefully that happens, but no promises. We'll have to wait and see. I'm gonna settle in, do some plying while I watch YouTube, and then, yeah, ply, then spin, and get it done. Let's go. All right, so the third bobbin has been plied. I'm very happy. I'm very excited. It did take me like 2.5 hours, which I think is about how long it's been taking me. I know I said 2 hours in an earlier clip, but that might have been an underestimate, which is fine. I mean, they're big bobbins. Big bobbins, big skeins, 7-ish ounces of relatively fine yarn. Like I said, I think this is like a sport or a DK once it's all washed. Oh, it's so nice though. I'm really happy with it. I'm really excited for it. And this is all I have left on my bobbins. Well, these bobbins. I still have 2.5 more full bobbins upstairs of the white, and then I need to spin more of the black so that I have enough to continue plying. But I'm really happy. I'm really excited. I do think it's funny that this bobbin has way more fiber on it than either of these. That's interesting to me. I wonder if that was just a much thinner spun bobbin, or if I managed to squeeze more on there because my tension was high or something like that. But yeah, the next step is going to be refilling this bobbin. I'll just join on to what's on the bobbin now and start filling it, which will probably take me a couple of days. I don't think I'm going to spin an entire bobbin today. Hopefully I can get it spun by the weekend so that I can cruise through more plying Saturday and Sunday. And then that'll be the end of Tour de Fleece. So yeah, spin more black, probably spin more of my dyed braid that I've been spinning on my treadle wheel as well. I'm gonna take a little bit of a break because I've been sitting here for 2.5 hours, and then I will get back to spinning some of this black fiber. So yeah, let's do that. All right, so I'm settling in to start spinning on this big old bump of Corriedale Cross fiber. So I want to show you how much of this I've actually spun in my first bobbin of this Corriedale Cross, because originally it was this big. Like, it doesn't even fit on that half of the screen. I have to lean over. Look at that. Look at that. So I might have to break into another one of these bumps. I have 3 left, and not including this one. I might have to break into one of these bumps before I finish the bobbin that I'm working on, but we shall see. But yeah, that's minus, 7 ounces of fiber from this is this. So, yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. I feel like I achieved quite the thing. So yeah, I'm gonna get to spinning now. So you'll have to forgive the boob shot. I really wanted to show you my long draw spinning because that's primarily what I've been doing this Tour de Fleece. And I got a question on my last video as to how I was spinning the Corriedale. So I wanted to show you. This is not a tutorial or lesson on how to spin long draw. This is just me spinning long draw and showing you me spinning long draw. So I hope that's okay. The main gist of it, I guess I'll give you a quick rundown, is you're letting the twist between your hands as you're spinning. So do a little bit of pre-drafting, And then as you're drafting, this pinching hand is letting a little bit of twist into your fiber supply as you draft. And that creates a woolen spun yarn using long draw. As I previously mentioned, this fiber is really, really well prepped for long draw. It's airy, it's roving, so the fibers are misaligned and not all combed out and organized like combed top is. And those combine to make it really good for long draw. You can see I am still pre-drafting a little bit, but not to the degree that you would need to do on combed top to spin it into yarn or spin it long draw. Again, I don't really like spinning combed top long draw because the fibers aren't really intended to be spun that way. If you have combed top that you want to spin long draw, I would recommend carding it, either making faux lags or roll lags, or turning it into a bat and then working with it in a similar fashion to how I'm spinning here. I'm just gonna sit here and do some long draw spinning and hopefully make a decent sized dent in this big bump of roving that I'm working from. Like I said, I don't think I'm gonna finish this bobbin today, but I would like to make some progress on it so that hopefully it's done by the end of the week so I can ply over the weekend. That might be too lofty of a goal. We will have to wait and see, but my hope is that I will finish this project during Tour de Fleece. That might be ill-advised as a goal because I don't want to hurt myself spinning long draw too much, and as I've mentioned previously, my wrist is already starting to be not thrilled with me, so I am stretching and taking breaks and switching it up. Spinning on my treadle wheel is also a good way of switching it up because the drafting method is very different, so it doesn't put as much strain on this wrist. So that's good. I think I'll leave it there. I think I will get back to watching some TV or some YouTube videos, or maybe listen to a podcast to switch things up. I just wanted to show you a little bit of me spinning long draw, and I'm sorry my head isn't in the shot, but I wanted to make sure that you could see what I was doing with both my hands because, you know, both hands play a role in spinning long draw. I'll see you in a little bit. Okay, y'all. I made great progress on the black Corriedale fiber. I did like a layer and a half, I think. So that's pretty awesome. But it's time for a break. I'm gonna go do some editing because this has turned out to be way longer of a video than I anticipated. So I'm gonna get going on that. I also need to wash my hands because they're all sticky now. Oh well, we work through it. And like I said before, once the yarn's washed, it won't be sticky anymore. So that's good. But that little bit of lanolin in the fiber just is a tactile ick for me. So yeah, I'm gonna go, but I wanted to show you my little update, and the bump continues to shrink. All right, it is getting late. It is almost 9 o'clock at night, so it's time for me to start getting ready for bed. But before I do, I made great progress today. Look at this bobbin. I'm very pleased. I think 2 more days and this bobbin should be filled if I can keep going at this rate, which, you know, we'll see about that. It depends on stamina and energy and time and all that stuff. But yeah, I'm really thrilled. This is at least one more skein worth of black, you know, once it's plied with 2 other bobbins of white. So I'm very pleased. I think because I know that this video has gotten very long at this point, that I'm actually going to wrap up week 3, part 1 here. So if you made it all the way to the end and you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, subscribe if you are so inclined, and I will be making at least one more week 3 of Tour de Fleece video, maybe 2. We'll see how much talking I end up doing in the future videos, but yeah, it's been a productive couple of days. I'm feeling good. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, friends.